It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you our speaker, Coach Shaka Smart.
Good morning. Congratulations to the graduating history majors of the class of 2016, and to all the family, friends, and supporters who've helped each graduate reach this special day. When I was asked to speak, my mind began racing about what I could possibly say that would stand out. You see, as a coach, my only memory of the several dozen commencement addresses I've attended is that I don't remember anything from any of them. So I realized my biggest challenge today will be leaving you with something, even if it's one thing, that you remember as you embark on this exciting, sometimes terrifying, and often unpredictable next chapter of your history book. That's right, each of you has your own history book, your own story that is being lived by you and may someday be documented in autobiographical form or by another historian. And of course, on this day of your graduation, the central theme on your mind is, how do I create the story I truly want? Even when for some of you, maybe most of you, you're not quite sure yet what you want. Well, I'm here to share a few anecdotes and leave you with my own piece of advice that I'm hoping, just maybe, some of you will remember. When I thought about what to say today, I ultimately decided I should focus on an area I have a history with, because that's what I know best. I also thought I'd include a few of my favorite quotes because they've served as inspiration for me over the years. Our purpose as coaches is to help our student athletes become the very best version of themselves, period. Imagine for a moment the very best version of you in 5, 10, 20 years. What are you doing? Who are you with? Where do you live? What do you look like? We're skipping ahead a few chapters for a moment, but it makes perfect sense to, as Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. I'm not referring to the end of your life, but the end as in the goal, what you want to accomplish. I'm sure most of you have thought deeply about what you want the end to look like, or maybe you haven't, but the more specific you can be, the better. And then you can decide exactly what it's going to take to get you there. Of course, the challenge is doing exactly what it takes, but that's the fun part too. With our players, we emphasize 5 core values that we believe will help them during their time at UT, on and off the court, and for many years afterward, if we've done our job instilling them. I've decided, in the interest of time, to share 3 of them with you. If there's one thing my mom taught me, it's the importance of appreciation, our first core value. As a youngster, she'd make me write thank you cards to my teachers and coaches at the end of the school year or season. I grew up thinking that was the norm, but I can tell you now as a coach, it's not. In our basketball program, we've given appreciation a simple definition. We see every opportunity as a gift. If our players and coaches view the opportunities we have here at UT, the practices, the games, the facilities, the team trips, the scholarships, as gifts, then we will make the most of them. The opposite of appreciation is entitlement, the belief that one is inherently deserving of privileges or special treatment. I believe it's impossible to feel the prevailing emotion of entitlement and, at the same time, achieve your best. I also believe it's impossible to feel a deep sense of gratitude and simultaneously feel sorry for yourself. Try it sometime. When I was a boy, we existed at the low end of the middle class. My mom raised 4 of us on her own and often struggled to make things work financially while balancing multiple jobs. My brothers and I never went without our basic needs being met, and my mom always scraped together enough money for us to participate in things like soccer tournaments or school trips. But sometimes I felt sorry for myself when I didn't have certain luxuries that my friends enjoyed. When it was time for an adjustment in perspective, my mom stepped in. Never did I experience a more powerful lesson in appreciation than when she sent my older brother and me on an exchange program that took us for 2 weeks to live with a family of 7 in a rundown section of government housing at the northern edge of the Mississippi Delta. In Mississippi, we experienced poverty and segregation unlike anything we'd ever seen or heard of. Much of what we took for granted in our own lives was thought to be out of reach for the 5 children we stayed with. I was 10. When we returned home from the 20-hour bus ride, I cried. My mom had proven her point. As you leave the cocoon of UT, you will face some trials. Life will take you out of your comfort zone. Perspective is a tremendously powerful thing. Choose yours wisely and fill these next chapters with intentional gratitude. Don't feel it, express it. As the great philosopher Shaka Smart, that's my wife, once said, appreciation is the currency of success. By the way, as a quick sidebar, today is my wife and my 10-year wedding anniversary. So here's a quote she often reminds me of that I once thought ridiculous, but turns out to ring true for so many of us and is especially applicable to you graduates as you exit college and enter real life. The most important career choice you'll make is who you marry. That's from Sheryl Sandberg. Think about it, then heed her words. Nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm. I couldn't agree more with Ralph Waldo Emerson. So enthusiasm is our second core value. I love being around people who are switched on, and they certainly make for more successful student athletes. So we define enthusiasm like this. We are passionate and excited about our process for success. The key word here is process. What is the blueprint that will lead you to get the results you desire? Since this is so critical to the upcoming chapters of your history book, I want to give you an example from when I was exactly your age. You've probably heard many times, what are you going to do with a history degree? I got that question too, and because I was a good student, my professors assumed they knew the answer. Go on to a rigorous postgraduate program. How could you spoil your education? Why aren't you doing what others like you do? What we did. Because I was passionate about doing something else. In fact, I was filled with unbridled enthusiasm about doing something else. I was headed somewhere they couldn't see. So I moved to a one-stoplight town in Pennsylvania and a school none of us had heard of to make $45 a week as an assistant coach. Almost everyone around me questioned the move. When friends and family would visit my $150 a month apartment, they would cringe and give me a look that was a mixture of pity and bewilderment. Every day I'd buy a $4 foot-long sub from Subway and eat half of it for lunch and half for dinner. I shopped at the dollar store, and I loved my life. I loved the opportunity I had. I loved the people I was around. I loved the promise of the future that I was too naive to know wasn't promised. Not everyone will understand your path. That's okay. As a civil rights leader, Howard Thurman said, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Decide what you can do with great enthusiasm. Decide what switches you on, then pursue it without apology and without looking back. Our final core value is accountability. By now you realize that our value definitions start with the word we. When you join a group in which you're attempting to accomplish something that no one individual could accomplish on his or her own, accountability is a must. Our definition, we are responsible for our team and ourselves. For any organization or individual to be its best, it cannot hide from accountability. Still, most people view responsibility as a burden. But look at the word, responsibility. As soon as you can see your personal history book is proprietary, you will gain great power. And that relates to career, lifestyle, family, and maybe most importantly, happiness. Many of you studied Lincoln, as complicated of a man as any in U.S. history. But here's a simple gem from our 16th president that certainly contains no contradiction. Most people are about as happy as they make their minds up to be. I met a swimmer from UT the other day named Will Lacone. He happened to be with one of our players, Connor Lammert, in the dining hall, so the three of us sat down together and ate lunch. About 5 minutes in, I realized I was sitting across from a phenomenal example of accountability. What he has done with the help of his Hall of Fame coach, Eddie Reese, is systematically align everything in his life with the outcome he expects to create in the pool. Will swims in several events. He'll enter the U.S. trials next month, hoping to make the Olympics in up to 7. In his best event, the 200 breaststroke, he set the American record in March. As a coach, I love learning from people like Will. In his sport, hundredths of a second can mean the difference between first and third. So he's decided to take 1,000% accountability over his decisions he makes. Sounds simple, but it also sounds superhuman. So I asked him how he does it. His reply, I see my choices clearly and choose to move forward one step at a time, even when I'm uncomfortable. There will be times of discomfort, but what will happen if you take a proprietary view of your decisions the way that Will has? You will thrive. This is a choice. You spent the last 4 years studying the past. Today you have your eyes on the future. But when it comes to creating your own history, understand there's only one time that matters: now. By now, I don't mean just this moment when you're sitting here listening to me. I mean all the right now moments you have in front of you. You will create your future and your history in the present, and that will never change. This is where your understanding of history will come in handy, as long as you're willing to utilize it. This is why you majored in history, but you must be intentional. In his terrific little book, Why Don't We Learn from History, B.H. Liddell Hart sums it up perfectly. What can the individual learn from history as a guide to living? Not what to do, but what to strive for, and what to avoid in striving. The importance and intrinsic value of behaving decently. The importance of seeing clearly, not least of seeing clearly himself. See yourself clearly. Understand the power of now and align your ambitions, your beliefs, and your actions. See to it that your habits match your expectations. There is no other way to reach them. But along the way, cut yourself some slack too. As the terrific UT professor Kristen Neff teaches us, practice self-compassion. We've learned as historians that people are fundamentally flawed. That's what makes them fascinating. I'm no different, and neither are you. No matter what, you are the main character of your history book, and the next chapter awaits. Good luck, and thanks for listening.
Don't go away. Thank you so much, Coach Smart. And in keeping with the theme of your talk, we have a couple of history books to give you in appreciation. One is by the famous photojournalist Spider Martin, whose papers are right here in the Briscoe Center on the UT campus. And recently has been published a beautiful book of his photographs chronicling the Selma freedom struggle in 1965.
Thank you.
And when I was talking to you about your thesis, you mentioned one particular historian whose work meant a great deal to you, and that was Dr. James Grossman, who wrote a book called Land of Hope, Chicago, Black Southerners and the Great Migration. Dr. Grossman now is the executive director of the American Historical Association, and he has followed your career with great interest. And he sent a copy of his book to you with an inscription, and part of it reads, "Congratulations, history major makes good." Thanks again. I know you have to leave. Thank you so much.
Thank you.